You were the perfect child. Your teachers loved you, your relatives praised your maturity, and your parents often said, "We never have to worry about them." While other kids were throwing tantrums or breaking rules, you were the rock, the quiet one, the one who understood. But here's the question no one ever asked. Why were you so quiet? Imagine a typical evening in your childhood home. Maybe your parents were stressed about money, or perhaps they were busy dealing with a sibling who took up all the oxygen in the room. You looked at the chaos, and even at 7 years old, you made a silent, unconscious calculation. You realized that there was no space left for your needs. So, you tucked them away. You learned to shrink. You became easy because being hard felt like a threat to the family's fragile peace. In psychology, this is often called the good child syndrome. On the surface, it looks like a success story. But underneath, it is a survival strategy born from emotional neglect. You didn't stay quiet because you were naturally good. You stayed quiet because you were hyper-vigilant. You became an expert at reading the emotional weather of the room before you even stepped inside. If mom looked tired, you did the dishes without being asked. If dad looked angry, you became invisible. You traded your authenticity for safety. You traded your voice for a sense of belonging. You become the employee who never complains about burnout. You become the partner who swallows their resentment to avoid a fight. You're still performing the role of the easy one, waiting for someone to finally notice that you are struggling. But they won't, because you've spent your whole life becoming a master at hiding it. Here's the twist that most people miss. The quiet child isn't actually well-adjusted. They are just in a permanent state of fawn. While other kids learn to process their anger by expressing it, you learn to internalize it. That anger didn't disappear. It turned into perfectionism. It turned into that constant, low-level anxiety that tells you that if you aren't being useful, you aren't valuable. You were never mature for your age. You were just forced to grow up before you were ready, because the adults around you couldn't hold the space for your childhood. It is time to realize that your goodness was actually a heavy armor you had to wear to survive. And the good news? You don't have to be easy anymore. You are allowed to be loud. You are allowed to be difficult. You are allowed to be human. Healing begins the moment you stop being the child who never caused problems and start being the adult who finally solves their own.